Questions?
Thank you. I would have one comment and one question. First of all, I admire Cubans that manage to survive that special period. I think they must be very tough and tough people with some kind of sense of humor to go through all those difficulties. And I think although we have seen very good examples in the documentary, I think we should not forget the overall picture. The overall picture is that Cuban agriculture is not very effective by our standards, or it's not effective enough to feed Cuban people, because Cubans have to import a lot of things, just basic things like milk, wheat, potatoes, or whatsoever. I'm not speaking just about the oil. And I think we should say openly that there's the problem of the Cuban economy overall, that it's not efficient enough, and that it's not able to pay for this basic stuff. And I think, and that's my comment, and I would come to my question. The problem is that the Communist Party is exercising very strong control over society, is not allowing initiative of the people. And since the part of Fidel Castro and advent of his brother, Raul Castro, which is actually quite a change after 50 years. There was some talk about reforms, but so far we haven't seen much reforms. Not only in the overall economy, but also in the agriculture sector. So my question is whether you can envision some kind of reforms which would allow people to have their family farms, to individually produce, and somehow to be more independent in the things they do as an economic activity, not speaking about political affairs. Thank you.
Well, there are a lot of things mixed in your comment and in your questions, no? Like I would like to start saying things like wheat doesn't grow in the tropics, so there is no way to grow wheat unless you bring like ice and put it on that. So no, excuse me. Let me answer please. Yes, just let me answer. So like there is one thing. If people are expecting reforms that would allow foreign companies to plant GMOs in Cuba, you can still wait. That one. If people are expecting reforms that we open Cuban resources to suck as it was happening before 1959, it won't happen. So, like, I think that it's necessary to have more respect for the fact that some people choose to make those mistakes. We can make mistakes, we have a lot of problems, but we decided to do things in a different way, and we deserve respect to try our thing. There is no one way, and the dominant way for the last 50 years have put in the planet in a climate crisis. So, I want to say something. Why people don't have reforms to the capitalistic system? Why people don't have reforms to the IMF? Cuba has to make reforms. Who are we attacking? Who are we doing harm? So, I think that there are many mixed stuff, in terms of politics and things like that. And people are not talking about independence for the farmers. In Cuba, there have been 4 agrarian reforms. The first agrarian reform gave the land to 150,000 families and reduced the maximum property to 26 hectares. When 10 Cuban families and 50 American companies own 87% of the land. That's a reform. The second agrarian reform even reduced the maximum amount. So these independent farmers occupy 14% of the land, and they still do it, and they produce 60% of the food that is produced in the country. And nobody touches them, nobody sells their produce and things like that. In 1990s, there were a third agrarian reform, and half of the government land, and I'm talking about millions of hectares, were given to the coast in usufruct in that form. And even last year, 150,000 hectares were given to the people that wanted free, not renting, not selling, no compromise that you have to give the food to the government. So we have been changing and reforming a lot of things, but within our social project. And I think that that needs to be respected. But now, if we have a banana plantation and a hurricane comes and destroys that, what can we do about it? Who's going to give us food? Of course, we have to import food. Because the other thing is that they are not starving people in Cuba, and the government guarantees that.